Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Let's Talk Happily Ever After. We have such an exciting movie today to talk about because it's also one that I hold personally. It is To All the Boys I've Loved Before. And we thought that this would be a great movie because of AAPI Heritage Month. I do love this movie. It came out in 2018. It's about Laura Jean, who's played by Lana Condor, and she's a high school girl who writes letters to the boys that she's infatuated with but keeps them in her closet instead of mailing them. Things change when her sister discovers the letters and decides to send it out on without Laura Jean knowing. Yeah. And then all the boys get this letter, and then these little
chaos ensues.
Yes, exactly. And Laura Jean is the perfect name, I think, for her character and her personality. But the main actors are Lana Condor, Noah Centineo, Anna Cathcart, Israel Broussard, Janelle Parrish, and John Corbett. And we got a 96% review on Rotten Tomatoes, which I didn't even know was possible.
I am genuinely shook that this movie got 96 and Made in Manhattan or some of the other movies that we have watched have not gotten a 96.
Exactly.
So
there's another movie that Missy and I recently just reconnected on because I said so with Diane Keaton in it, and that had a 3%.
Which we will talk about when we get to that episode.
Yes, but if anybody's watched Because I Said So, and anybody who's a die-hard rom-com fan, to see that disparity, this is just a whole other level.
Anyone who's just a Diane Keaton fan, too. She kills it in that movie. I mean, she kills it in every movie. But, I mean, it was just amazing. So I'm really upset that that got a 3. Not that this movie doesn't deserve a high percentage, because it totally does, but I don't think it deserves this high of a percentage.
Any movie with Diane Keaton should have a minimum of a 25% Rotten Tomatoes review.
Totally agree. We review like The Family Stone and like all the holiday movies when we get close to the holidays. I'm not going to be able to pull myself together, just an FYI.
I love The Family Stone.
Anyway, back to All the Boys I've Loved Before.
Yes. But, okay, I have a question for you before we dive right into the meet cute moment.
Okay.
Did you or did you not feel Bridget Jones' Diary vibes when watching this movie?
When?
Throughout the film. I just had, maybe it's the self-narration or it's just the moments where she literally, it's a lot of self-humility.
Now that you're saying all of it, it totally makes sense. But I did not connect that when I was watching.
I don't know why, but I just kept thinking, wow, this is very Bridget Jones' Diary-esque.
I totally see it because you're right. She is talking over the voiceovers and narrating her life just like Bridget was in her film.
Yeah.
And she also is unapologetically herself around Noah specifically. Or not Noah, Peter Kavinsky.
Yeah. And she falls into a lot of humility kind of
awkward situations.
Yes.
Yeah.
Self-humility.
Yeah.
I love practicing on a day-to-day basis. I think everybody should find a moment in the day where you laugh at yourself.
I mean, that's 24/7 in my life, but
okay, so going back to more of this film. It was released in August of 2018, which really makes me feel old. There are 3 movies of the same series out.
Because there's 3 books.
It's written by Jenny Han, who also wrote The Summer I Turned Pretty.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
Look at you bringing the spill the popcorn.
But I didn't know until I did a little research that it was the same author.
That's still a spill the popcorn. We're connecting things. We're spilling them.
So I really enjoyed, because it is AAPI Heritage Month, I want to talk about how the author, Jenny Han, was a part of the movie. And she really wanted to cast an Asian American lead.
Yes.
Which is rare, I think. And I don't know if it's because she is Asian herself. I mean, I'm sure that's a huge part of it.
Yeah.
But she really fought for it. And I think there's this great interview that she did with, I think, Trevor Noah. And she said she really had to fight for it because the people who invested in this movie at first didn't think that this movie with an Asian American lead would do as well. And she really stuck to her gut. And it did really well, to the point where they even made the whole spin-off TV show for her little sister, the Kitty show.
Thank God, because Kitty was my favorite character in this entire movie.
Yeah, I think I kind of knew that you were gonna say that. Yeah, I just thought that was a really good spill the popcorn of how she really fought for an Asian American lead. And the second time I watched this, really enjoyed the fact that she stuck to her gut because there isn't really a rom-com out there that I love as much with such a diverse lead. And so I really enjoyed it.
I agree. I think she did a great job fighting for that. I wonder if, and I did not read the books, I don't know if you read the books or maybe you know this from your research. Is the character in the book identified as an Asian American, or is that just something she fought for the movie adaptation?
Yeah. In the book, I think she is Asian.
Okay, got it. So I love that they stayed true to that and she fought for that to keep that. My next question for you is, how do you think the movie would have been told differently if there wasn't an Asian American lead?
Oh gosh. I don't know because it's not just the Asian American.
And I don't want to hyper focus on that, but at the same time, like you keep saying, it's super important. But like you keep saying, there isn't really, I can't think of, and you and I are both rom-com queens, of another really great, famous rom-com, popular one that has a true Asian American woman leading the cast.
Yeah. I mean, maybe Crazy Rich Asians.
But this came after. Crazy Rich Asians came after, yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yes. And I think Crazy Rich Asians didn't have as much of a good rating as To All the Boys I Loved Before. I think the fan base that To All the Boys I've Loved Before was able to attract was much larger. But to your point, I think it's so hard to think about that because it's not just about the Asian heritage in this movie. I think it's because the Asian heritage is tied to the mom that passed away. So I think that this could not have been told the way it was if there wasn't that Asian heritage story, because I think that just made the family a lot closer knit, if that makes sense, because I'm biased, but I think that in Asian cultures or even in Latin American cultures, I've heard that this tie of family and culture is so strong, even if you are tied to the American, if you were born in America. And so it's a different type of connection to the culture than if it wasn't told in that light. So I really liked how they kept a lot of the kind of fun side of the Asian American culture too alive, like the yogurt, which is a very famous Korean yogurt.
That was going to be one of my questions for you. Have you ever had that yogurt?
Yes, it's kind of tart.
Okay.
And it's not really a yogurt. It's very liquidy.
Okay.
So you have to have it. Maybe I'll bring it to you when I go see you in New Jersey, but
Yay, I love snacks.
Tart, kind of probiotic. Yeah, because we're going to road trip. But I really like those little subtle things. And then I actually love the movie so much that I watched the second and the third. And then by the third, Missy, they go to Korea.
Okay, so I was going to watch the second and third, but I was like, I don't want to have that bias or come into our episode. So I have not watched the second and third. But I definitely plan to, and I wanted to watch it, especially with the ending with that fifth letter coming in. Spoiler alert.
Wait, is this the first time you've ever watched these movies, Missy?
This is like the 8th time I've watched this one, but I've never seen the other two. I know.
Okay, we need to add this on to Missy's list.
Missy has a very long list, according to Paula.
Yes. And there will be a fun prize for anybody who recognizes the other two Hallmark Enterprise films and TV shows that Missy has not watched.
One of the points I think why this was so essential to be Asian American, or why I think that thread was important, were two things. One, I loved how they kept the mom and the tradition alive. Like they kept talking about her and they made her food and kept saying, oh, what would mom do? Or if mom was here, or how when, the dad swooped in and was like trying to help Laura Jean through her sex tape. And I really do say sex tape in air quotes, took her to the diner and showed her mom and, and just talked about that. But the second thing I really appreciated, and I know it's been a huge controversial issue throughout movie history, was when she showed him 16 Candles and they're watching that scene and Peter Kavinsky says, isn't this racist? And she says, absolutely, 100% it's racist. So I think if this movie wasn't produced or made with several AAPI people on board, I don't think that scene would have come across the way that it came across. And I think it was very important that it came across that way.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to mention that because I really appreciated that. And that 16 Candles is also such an iconic early rom-com. So I loved how it kind of brought itself back into like a modern rom-com, and especially for a new generation.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
No, I watched 16 Candles for the first time last year. I know. I know, but it's such a classic and we'll talk about it one day. But
at least you watched it, okay? I have not watched some of these other ones, so I give you credit, Paula.
I was gonna say, Missy, if you didn't watch 16 Candles, that's gotta be first on your list.
No, I've seen 16 Candles.
It goes to the point where I read about how Laura Jean's character was accepted or not accepted by the Asian American culture. And people actually really praised her because she was able, and her character, because she was able to be, quote, extraordinarily ordinary. And that goes back to your point about the Bridget Jones kind of unapologetically herself. And it really brings up this recent point in The Devil Wears Prada 2. There's this controversy right now with an Asian character in the film who comes across as a stereotypical Asian. She's really smart, buttoned up, and she's kind of a nerd. And so some people in the Asian culture right now are kind of lashing out at how this character was portrayed in 2026 in Devil Wears Prada 2, because Asian characters have historically been kind of the nerdy sidekick or the martial arts expert. And in this film, Laura Jean could just be a teenager who was going through these love.
Yeah, there was nothing in there about her being some super smart, getting great grades, or being a brainiac or on like mathletes or whatever. It was really just the focus of her being this teenage girl who has these uncontrollable feelings and wants to figure out a way to get them out there, and also trying to fit in with everyone. Which I really, really enjoyed and felt very relatable to, even as an adult. I will tell you, though, after watching this movie, I do not want to go back to high school. Like, you'd have to pay me a substantial amount of money to get into a time machine and go back to high school.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, I know we are physically going back to our high school next month, but I do not want to mentally go back to high school and be there as a 16, 17-year-old again. Girls are mean. Jen was so mean.
So mean. I agree.
So catty.
And I totally get how that storyline is pretty realistic, because you could be friends with somebody in elementary school, middle school, and then suddenly overnight things could completely change and someone can turn on you.
I really enjoyed, and I forgot this from when I watched it this time around, I didn't realize that Genevieve or Jen remembered that moment, and that's why she was also holding a grudge against Laura Jean. I thought she just didn't like Laura Jean, but then when she talks in the bathroom with her and she goes, I remember that moment. It's such a typical teenage girl kind of, you stole my first kiss, I had a crush on him first kind of thing. And it just felt so relatable.
It did feel relatable. And it shows that usually there's a story and a side. There's a side to every story, is what that kind of told me. But we haven't even talked about the meet cute moment, Missy. So I think we need to talk about the meet cute moment.
So here's my thing with the meet cute moment again. Like how we talked about last week's episode, how, there was technically two when she was, the maid and when she was, Caroline Lane. Is the meet cute moment here when Peter and Covey meet and have their spin the bottle kiss? Or is it when she attacks him on the track field and kisses him?
Well, I think even, because I watched the third movie and I can't remember, I don't even think the spin the bottle was the actual meet cute moment.
In the first movie, though, that's where they say that they all, met.
Oh, okay. If you watch to movie 3, I think it's another. I think Peter's story is different about how they met. But anyway, I think the meet cute moment for these two people are when they started to develop that romantic relationship.
I agree. I'm glad you said that. I'm glad we're on the same page.
So it's when she jumped him.
Go, girl.
Missy, I had to ask, do you think that's realistic? Because
hell no. Even I have balls bigger than Texas, girlfriend, and I would never do that.
Okay, but you know why I bring this up? Because I don't know if you read The Love Hypothesis.
I have not read it yet, but it's on my TBR.
Okay, because The Love Hypothesis is going to be a film soon with Lily Reinhart and another really good-looking guy. And it's based off of The Love Hypothesis, which is all about how, same scenario, she kisses this guy to get out of another sticky situation. So she kisses a random guy, and then their story kind of unfolds. But I would never, ever, ever kiss a guy or say, hey, be my boyfriend for 2 seconds. Because it's just not going to be receptive, I think.
Okay, I think there's two things there. So the first one is the big, bold move of just like kissing someone like that. Especially in high school, when you're already so confused about yourself and your body and hormones and everything, I don't think that that was realistic in high school. Maybe stretch if you're like in a bar with your friends and like there's a cute guy coming and your ex walks in, maybe that's a little bit more realistic. But for the high school setting, absolutely not. And then the whole idea of fake dating and creating a deal together at the high school level, like I don't even think I was that smart or would have thought that far ahead and through to make someone jealous in high school like that.
Yeah. Although now that you say that, there was a story that a guy kissed a girl randomly at the bonfire
We have to sidebar about this because I need to
my
know this
senior
too.
year. So Missy and I went to the same high school. And at the end of the year or beginning of the year, no, at fall, in the fall,
I was gonna say, yeah, in the fall, the bonfire. Yeah.
there's a bonfire. And it's this huge little bonfire, and then the whole school kind of wraps around it. But then by my senior year, there was a guy who went up to a girl and said, what are the chances that I'll ever get to do this again? And they kissed her.
I need to know who this was because I'm dying now. Please, like, we need to sidebar after this.
Yes. But I'm saying that it could happen, I guess, if you really, really have a huge crush and you are this confident person, you could technically go up to somebody and kiss them. But you should know that they're probably going to have to receive it. Well, otherwise you get punched
For
in the
me,
face,
there's
but
too many risk factors in that. Like, okay, what if their breath smells? What if my breath smells? What if they bite my lip? Or what if they push me out of the way? Like, I am too much of a control freak to be able to willingly do something like that. I will say though, I had such an aha moment when I was watching this movie because I don't know, you mentioned the love hypothesis every summer after the book world, the rom-com booktok world is buzzing right now because on May 13th, Off Campus is coming out, which is based on L. Kennedy's book series, The Deal, which is basically the same plot as this movie, essentially, except it takes place in college. So just like how Laura Jean and Peter Kavinsky deal to make use each other as a fake relationship to make other people jealous, Hannah, who's in like this class with Garrett, who's the star hockey player, he's failing his class, and so he asks Hannah to tutor him in exchange for helping her make the guy that she likes jealous.
oh my
The only
gosh.
really big difference is one's hockey, one's lacrosse, one's college, one's high school. And it's actually the same where Peter kind of fell first for Laura Jean. Garrett falls first for Hannah.
Now that you say this, I think that we as rom-com lovers do like these kinds of stories where two people make a deal or an agreement.
How realistic is it?
Okay, this is what I was thinking because you know how even in No Strings Attached with Ashton Kutcher and Natalie Portman, which is one of my favorite movies, it's kind of the same thing. They make a deal.
They
Where
agree to be
there's
just sex friends and not have feelings.
yes, exactly. But then they develop feeling. But same kind of concept where they make a deal.
I,
And I don't know how realistic that is.
I think the whole lesson here is feelings are a real thing and they will always come back regardless of how contractual or, specific you are with things. Feelings come in and you can't just be platonic with someone and not develop feelings, whether it be for a sexual relationship like No Strings Attached or for the prospect of making someone jealous. The amount of time you're spending with that one person, you're bound to develop feelings for them. I think it was really interesting to see
Now
that I had those aha
saying
moments. I loved having this aha moment. I was freaking out because I'm a huge off campus fan and I've been following the coverage like obsessively. And when I saw it, I was like, oh my God, all the boys I love walk so that off campus can run. So I'm very excited to see this play
A
out.
devil's advocate here, Missy, and I do think that there's this element of people and producers writing on things that have done really well before.
I mean, that's why it's a trope. Fake dating is a huge trope in the romance world.
Yeah.
Just like enemies to lovers, or there's a single dad trope, or there's all these tropes for a reason. And it's because they do well. And so this is just another example of one trope that is an age as old as time.
You know what? I think you and I need to go and make a deal with some random person and just maybe our stories will unfold.
I don't know about you, but I'm hopping up to Starbucks after this and I'm going to wait for some man to walk in.
Yeah. Just do the whole deal thing, I guess. But okay, so we talked about the meet cute moment, which I think was super not realistic, but it was a cute moment to witness. I have another question for you in terms of from the guy's perspective, though. What do you think that this movie? I mean, I just can't imagine if I were a guy watching this movie, how would I feel?
I think people need, first of all, our viewers need to understand that Paul and I do sidebar and text and have like audio voice notes that go back and forth to each other, but we don't really talk about what we're going to talk about in the episode until we get here. The fact that you are asking this question and it was one of my questions for you is just like a reason why we are meant to do this podcast together.
Yeah, you are literally ET moment.
You're supposed to put your finger onto the screen, but yeah.
Okay.
I was going to ask you, do you really think high school boys are this sensitive or this thoughtful like how Peter Kavinsky was? Or are the way they are like how you're just saying how your question was? I would love a guy's perspective.
There are some guys out there who I think will definitely leave a party for you if you're not feeling well.
I do. I just don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
High school, yeah. I don't know if high school was the like quite the right emotional. What do you call it when your brain is like maturing?
Emotion. I don't know, but emotional intelligence is when you can act on your emotions.
Yeah, I just don't think if boys, teenage boys, have the emotional intelligence to be like Peter Kavinsky or even what was the other boy's name?
The Asian friend.
Not the Asian friend, the sister's boyfriend.
Oh, Josh.
Josh. I don't know. I just feel like the emotional intelligence wasn't there for teenage boys. But then also we're not teenage boys, so I don't know what it is like to be in a teenage boy's brain or what it was like to be in a teenage boy's brain. So
you do bring up Josh's character that I wanted to talk about because I really liked his character. And I felt so bad for the way that they treated him.
He was just a sad little puppy dog.
Yes.
Like his eyes just were always sad. Like he had sad boy eyes the whole movie.
But he was just kind of strung along. I think if you know how we always say, if we could wave a magic wand and change one part of the movie, I would have given him at least, he didn't deserve to be shut out from both of the sisters' lives.
Correct. I agree.
But
I would have liked to see him end up with someone. One thing I want to mention too, and I know it's different for us because we went to boarding school, so we were already away from home all the time. This whole concept of a ski trip. Like, in what worlds do parents let their 15 to 18-year-old kids who are super horny and just figuring out their emotions go on a weekend trip to a hotel or a ski lodge? And then when the dad gives her all the condoms and is like, have fun.
Wait, you literally brought up a thing that I wanted to ask you, which was high school parties were not a thing.
Well, we also went to boarding school, Paula. Come on.
Wow. I was gonna say, we didn't just show up to someone's random house and then have a party.
Another segment that we always talk about is this more rom than com? And I honestly feel it was a very even balance. And I want to say Kitty brought the com.
Yeah.
Kitty was my spirit animal. Her one-liners were just banger after banger. In fact, my favorite line of hers was when she finally tells Laura Jean that she sent the letters and they're chasing each other around in the bedroom. And she's like, and you sent all 5? And Kitty goes, I figured 5 chances was better than 1 at getting a boyfriend.
She's just a really good, lively younger sister character. And I love her in this film too.
Even when she's playing chess with the dad and he's like, women. And then she's like, checkmate. Like she just had the right comedic timing. And I'm so happy to know that she had her own spinoff, which I can't wait to watch because I genuinely loved her character and her spunk. And I don't think she would be hoarding letters in a box. I think she would be the one to actually go out there and be like, I like you. You're mine.
Yeah, I really like. There's something about that innocence too at that age where she could get away with, and I really liked.
Yeah, especially when she goes when they're fighting and she's like, oh my God, thank God, I really wanted to make it to seventh grade. I'm like, girl, no one wants to make it to seventh grade. Like, she's so innocent and she's just like, I just want to grow up and be cool. And it was really cute how her liners made me really happy. I also really loved seeing Sex and the City's Aiden as a dad.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
He was such a cute maternal parent. And I remember in Sex and the City, he wanted to be a dad too. Like, he wanted a family. And also he's in My Big Fat Greek Wedding too.
Yeah.
So seeing him in this dad role, but in another rom-com was super awesome.
He gives off cool dad vibes because in the And Just Like That, which is the more recent Sex and the City series, he is a dad.
He's a hot dad. He's a DILF, 1,000%.
Oh, I don't know about. He's just a.
Did I just make you super uncomfortable, Paula?
Don't feel that way. Dad.
No, there's some dads that are DILFs and there's some dads who are just dads. Like Dennis Quaid, he's just a dad. Like, he will always play that dad role in a movie, but he's not a DILF, if that makes sense.
It's like there's a MILF and a mom. By the third movie, you'll see that the dad, develops a love interest. And she's also an Asian lead.
I love that.
Love that. I love that so much. There's just so much about this movie, especially as an Asian American woman, where I feel that this was needed. And it kind of pains me to say that this was not, and it took this long to get here. 2018 is very late, people, for a successful movie like this to have the rave reviews. And I just remember a professor of mine who taught pop culture at Georgetown, who taught this one class about, pop culture and its relevance to society. And there was this whole class that she did on the whole person and this idea of, well, can a diverse character be a whole person ever? And a whole person is basically someone who can just be themselves without any tie to their race, kind of like what Bridgerton did. I think Bridgerton's another successful series where race is never really mentioned, even though primarily the main characters are Caucasian, but there are leads by Bridgerton season 2 and 3 who are Asian or
that cast colored. I was gonna say that cast is very diverse, and I didn't read the book, so I can't speak to this, but I would assume the books were not diverse, and that was up to the producer's interpretation when casting, especially being written and produced by Shonda Rhimes. I think it did a great job of expanding that sphere. And also now so in this 4th season that just came out, they're teasing for the 5th one that Francesca is going to be LGBTQ, which I don't know if that's in the book or if they're changing that for the sake of the movie or the show. I'd love to ask our viewers who maybe had read the book or know more about Bridgerton if that's something that was already written in the books, or is that something being made for TV to expand that diversity for the sake of this show.
Another plug for Shonda Rhimes is that any of her series, whether it is the Grey's Anatomy, whether it's the whole Scandal show, literally any of her series, there's never really an emphasis on the race. There's not Christina Yang never says, oh, because I'm Asian, I'm like this. Or, you know what I mean? Yes, Christina Yang is the most buttoned up surgeon there is, but it's never because she was Asian that she studied so hard or whatever.
It's not the forefront. It's like a back thought. Whereas I feel like it'd be the other way around.
Yeah, we as consumers will associate the race. It's very rare that Shonda's script says this person is this because she's Asian or whatever.
Yeah.
So I really like that. But I will say that for this film, I think it was a lot of the similar, let's just let these people be the whole people. And then the race is just a sub thought or whatever. But I know that I have to play the devil's advocate and my professor would want me to also question, but then why can't both of the leads be diverse? And would they have gotten the same successful 98% on Rotten Tomatoes if both of the leads were...
You mean if Peter wasn't Caucasian?
Exactly. And I don't
Very
know.
Good question.
There's always...
Well, I think that's...
Yeah.
Look at Crazy Rich Asians. both of
Well,
those.
but she would also say that Henry Golding is kind of the whiter Asian.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not going to speak to that because I don't think I have a right to speak to that.
No. I mean, it's a question for our viewers.
Yeah.
Like, devil's advocate, do we think that there's enough diversity represented, or does it happen to be that when there are two leads, only one is really diverse? The only other movie that I can really think about that didn't have that was Just Right, which we talked about episode 2, which I loved, or episode 3.
I feel like a lot of rom-com, I mean, I don't know if you just saw the Amazon Prime plug for all of their new shows coming out this summer, but I feel like there's a lot of shows coming out now and movies and rom-coms where if we look more closely at the casts, they're really not that diverse. I mean, I love Off Campus and I'm so excited for it, but it's an entirely white cast. I mean, yes, it takes place at a Boston, New England hockey school. So, I guess, but just like how Bridgerton took place in what, like Middle Age English? I don't know. They were able to make these characters be diverse and have that, pleasant adaptability. So I think it's definitely a conversation that you and I can continue to talk about as we dissect these rom-coms and look at these main characters. And I think that's a huge importance going into 2026. So
Yeah. The last thing I'll say is that I think there are more Asian actors like Simu Liu, and I think even in The Devil Wears Prada 2. Oh my gosh, what is her name? She's in Charlie's Angels.
Lucy Liu?
Yes, Lucy Liu. Thank you so much. Lucy Liu is also in that movie. So I think there is this, at least there's this, some sort of the inclusivity aspect, which I think a lot of actors like Simu Liu are saying, though, is that it's not enough.
I just want to ask you, and you could tell me if you don't want me to ask you this, and you could cut this out if you don't want to include it. You said that you identify as AAPI. What exactly? I don't know. Think I know your heritage. So what do you identify as?
Okay, well, I am sort of an anomaly. Even my fellow Koreans, because I'm 100% Korean, they don't even think that I'm Korean. So even in the Asian, there are a lot of stand-up comedians who probably say some kind of bit about how Asians don't even really know where you're from. But I'm 100% Asian. My parents, I mean, yes, I'm 100% Asian, but I'm 100% Korean.
Well, I think we are just about at time. I really enjoyed this conversation. I think it was awesome. I loved getting your perspective being in the AAPI community. I think this conversation is one that we'll continue to have on our episodes as we see more movies with diversity in them. And we'd love to hear from our viewers what they think, what other movies that we should be watching or keeping an eye on that do have a plethora of diversity. And does diversity have a place in rom-coms? Or should it have a bigger place in rom-coms? So that's what I wanted to kind of leave everyone with.
Yes. I want to hear it in the comments. And if you've ever watched a movie with a very good, diverse cast, please let us know, because I always want to know what to watch. But thank you so much, Cupid crew. We'll see you next week.
We'll see you next week. Bye, friends.